For today's video, I was getting a couple of requests to not only go over my foundation routine, but to kind of focus more on like what brushes and tools that I use. So for today, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do my foundation, bronzer, blush, like all that stuff, and then specifically what brushes I use. And I am trying to do, I would say, like 95% drugstore makeup, because I know I have a tendency to use stuff that's usually from like Sephora and, you know, high-end stuff. So for the most part today, just about everything will be drugstore, which never happens. All right, I know this is gross, but hopefully we can just look past how ugly this is. And hopefully that actually holds my hair up. So the very first thing that I recommend when it comes to putting on your foundation and your makeup in general is always, always, always hydrate your skin. No matter what. Even if you have oily skin, always hydrate. And if you've been watching my channel ever, you already know that I always use the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Gel. But you want to make sure that your moisturizer does have a chance to actually sink in and, you know, really do its job before you go and start putting all your products on top. So it's feeling pretty good now. Okay, like I said, 95% drugstore. I really don't have drugstore primers. I personally haven't found anything that I like or that works for me. But I have really been liking this one, which I've shown in my last couple of videos, the Urban Decay Self-Adjusting Primer. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And I really just take a little bit. I mean, it really does a good job, I think, of just evening out my skin. Like, it doesn't look as discolored and everything like that. When it comes to applying your foundation and concealer and stuff like that, you can really do it however you want. Some people just choose to use their hands. I don't like doing that. Another way that you could do it is you could apply it with a brush. Again, I have foundation brushes, but I just don't really like them very much. What I always do is use my beauty blender or like some type of a beauty sponge. So I have two of them right here. They're, you know, almost the same color. This one is the actual beauty blender, which I did show recently. It came in that summer fling set from Beauty Blender. These are $20 for a beauty blender, which is so stupid. It's a sponge. $20. But it works really, really well. And then this one is the Real Techniques, I think it's just called Real Techniques Beauty Sponge? No, this is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. Now, I will say, I think that this one is a lot softer and squishier, but I mean, they're pretty much almost the same size. The only real difference is this one's like an egg, and this one has the flat edge, so you can, you know, really press your product. I feel like this covers a larger area quicker, I would say. But since I am trying to do mostly drugstore today, I will go ahead and use the Real Techniques sponge, and then I am going to use the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless foundation in the shade Rich Tan number 238. And then when you use your sponge, because some people don't know this, I didn't know this when I first started using sponges, but you are supposed to get these wet, damp. So some people will spray them with like a setting spray, which is a good concept, because if you think about it, then you're putting setting spray in your sponge and then pressing that all over your skin, prolonging the wear of your makeup. I usually just run mine underneath the sink and then squeeze all the excess water out. It should really just be damp. And then when you're using the sponge, it's really best if you tap, don't like swipe, because then you're just going to be removing the product that you're placing down, completely defeating the purpose. Definitely like bounce, tap, whatever verb you want to use. And you don't have to do this, but like for me, my face is a different color than the rest of my body. So I do make sure that I take some product and kind of press it over my ears and down this back part of my neck, because I don't know why this section after surgery will not tan. It's like, it just won't. So I have to kind of make sure that I bring this down along the jawline, just down a little bit, because I don't want a foundation line. No one wants that. Maybe you do. Why would you want that? But the good thing with a beauty sponge is that it kind of, because it's a sponge, it absorbs excess product. So if you just accidentally caked on way too much product on your face, it will absorb some of the excess. So I just feel like it helps you to almost never overdo it, you know? So next I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me concealer, and this is in the shade 10 Light. A lot of people really like go super hardcore with this, but for like an everyday really easy makeup look, you don't have to go crazy. I kind of just, you know, right under the eyes, just a little bit on the forehead and down the nose. Now the good thing with sponges like this that have the little tip on them, it really helps you to get into the corners really, really well. I usually use the flat end for the bigger areas. And again, tapping, not swiping. I don't want to remove any product. And then I'll flip it over to the point, and this helps me to really press it exactly where I want it. Now, most people with their under eyes, they will, like, one of the biggest complaints is that the under eye creases. This brush specifically, it's called the E48, and it is just like a tulip kind of really fluffy type of brush. And I usually use this to set under my eyes. I just like the shape of it. I feel like it fits really well where I want it to go. If you don't want to order products online, the Real Techniques brushes, any of the Real Techniques brushes are so good. This one specifically is called the setting brush. This also fits really well right under the eyes. So something, you know, like either one of these. I think this one was maybe around $7. This is the RCMA No Color Powder. This is about $10 on the Beautylish website. To set under the eyes, I typically use either the Kat Von D loose powder, or I will use the It Cosmetics Pores No More pressed powder. I love that one, but this one works just as well. So I'm just going to use this today because it's affordable, and I'm trying really hard to use affordable products. Now, you don't want to put a lot of product under your eyes because that will look super cakey and creasy. I mean, I don't have very much on this brush. So now that I've been talking a little bit, I'm just going to kind of smooth out here. And then when I set my eyes, I'm taking this brush, and again, I'm tapping and patting, and I want to look up a little bit, and I'm pushing the product in exactly where I want it. And I'll take some of this and kind of set, you know, my face wherever I put the concealer. You can use this powder if you want to set, you know, the rest of the places where we did the concealer, down the nose, like around the nose. Most people typically are really oily in this area of their face and like the chin. And I'm not using a lot. I'm really just like picking it up from the cap. This is a blending and bronzing brush, and to me it reminds me a lot of a stippling brush, which helps to more lightly distribute the product. But this is typically the brush that I use to set the outer edges of my face. And again, I really press. I'm not really like swiping very much. You don't have to do this. Some people have really dry skin and they don't want to set the rest of their face, but I always use the Rimmel Stay Matte powder. the transparent one with no color, and I just tap into the product, tap any excess off, and then I press this in any place that I need to set the rest of my foundation. I typically have, I would say, more oily skin than anything, and especially in Florida right now where it's literally 98% humidity, it doesn't matter how many mattifying products I put on my face, I'm still gonna look sweaty. Plus, it also helps if you put some powder down when you go to layer your other products like bronzer or whatever. It helps everything to go on really, really smooth and not look patchy or anything like that. This request that I had specifically, not only to really discuss what brushes I'm using, but the request was for, you know, like kind of a day-to-day routine. I know not a lot of people have like all the time in the world to get ready, and normally this would only take me maybe 10 minutes to do, but because I'm trying to explain everything, it's gonna take longer than I would like it to. So on like a day-to-day routine, don't always contour my face. Instead, I'll just strategically place my bronzer so that it looks like I look slimmer than I really am. It's the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, but I know the shade is too light for me, so I really can't use this one right now. So I'm sorry, but one of the other products that's not going to be affordable is my bronzer. And I'm testing out the Hourglass one because I haven't really had a chance to try it yet. So the brush that I'm using for my bronzer is kind of like a narrow but really fluffy brush. Now this one doesn't have a name or a number, but this did come in that set I was talking about that I ordered from Morphe. When I'm taking my bronzer, I'm just picking up some product and always tapping off anything that's left over. So when I go in to place this, because I'm not contouring, but when I make this face, you can see where that shadow is right here. That's kind of where I want to put my bronzer. So I am going to start back towards my ear. Most of your product should be towards the back of your face. And I'm just lightly placing this and trying to bring the product up. I don't want to bring dark product down. And I'm holding a little further back on my brush because the further back you hold on your brush, the less pressure you have when you're applying your product. So everything's going to go on really smooth, really light. But it made this side of my face look more structured already just from bronzer than this side of my face. This side looks really just round, and this side looks like I have a cheekbone. I usually bring some down the sides of my nose. I really don't contour my nose, but I just feel like this gives some structure to it. I kind of flick the product up towards the bridge of my nose. And I have a pretty big forehead, so I will focus it more towards the outer edges to kind of make my forehead appear smaller. And I'll try to really get this almost up into my hairline. All right, so up next is going to be blush, and almost exclusively the only brush that I typically use for this is the Real Techniques stippling brush. And a lot of these, you can get them either individual, but a lot of these Real Techniques brushes do come in sets. So you can kind of, like there's, you know, eye sets, there's face sets, so you can kind of pick and choose which one you need. But I typically do use this stippling brush just because, like I said 1,000 times, I feel like this really distributes the product more evenly and less pigmented, so I don't accidentally smack myself in the face with my blush and I'm like, oh my god, what did I do? For today's blush, I'm also using Drugstore, one of my favorites. This is Milani Luminoso. And then I'm going to smile and place this kind of on the apple of my cheeks, not fully in front of my face here, because I think that kind of makes your face look more round. So like right here. And again, I'm going to bring this back and up. And if you don't want to do like highlighter or something, this blush is really good because it has a lot of a sheen to it, so you look really luminous. I don't really have any Drugstore highlighters. But this one I picked up because I heard Melissa Alatorre talking about it. This is actually an eyeshadow from Maybelline, and it's called the Glow Down. So it looks like this. And I'm pretty sure that she said this was somewhat of a dupe for, I want to say it was Champagne Pop. Again, almost exclusively, the only brush I use is from Real Techniques. And this is technically the setting brush, like I mentioned, for under my eyes, but I pretty much only use it for highlighter because I feel like it really packs on the product exactly where I want it to go. I actually haven't tried this on my face yet, so we'll see how this works. So because it's an eyeshadow, I'm going to just tap into it. I don't want to pick up too much. And let's see what this looks like. Ooh, oh my god. Holy jeez. Oh my god. I mean, this, you know, it's excessive. You don't have to do this, but oh my god, that's an eyeshadow? And kind of run it right down the center of my nose. That also kind of helps to make your nose look more narrow if that's something you care about. Get the tip of the nose. A lot of people will take it and put it right on the Cupid's bow because it makes your lips look bigger. Because when you're putting on so many products, it really makes your face look really mattified and just not real. So all these steps kind of add dimension back into your face and make it look more natural. The very last thing that I would do is, well, of course I would do like my eyebrows and finish the rest of my makeup, but in order to help, in order to kind of reduce the really powdery look on my face, I'm going to use a setting spray that's going to help just kind of bring some life back into my face and kind of absorb some of the powders. This one is from Pixi. You can get this from Target. I don't know if you would consider this drugstore. This one is just the makeup fixing mist. So that is my pretty much like day-to-day, really easy foundation routine. Hopefully I explained enough about the brushes for everyone, and if you have any other questions, just leave them in the comments below. I will make sure to link all the brushes that I talked about in the description box, so if you're interested in them or want to look them up, they'll be right down there so you don't have to try and remember what they were. So thank you guys for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!